In today's video, we're going to be diving into the upcoming pattern. I want to touch a lot more on what's happening in the lower 48 as far as storminess, temperature pattern, and overall the long range pattern, because we do see a lot of colder air, some warmer air, but I really think the bigger story here is that activity is going to be on a big time surge over the next 10 to 15 days. Of course, we will be talking about Hurricane Beryl, of course, and I want to take a look at it first, actually, for just a moment, so this will be just a brief portion of this video. We do see that it is striking the southern coast here of Jamaica, unfortunately, especially that northern eye wall, which is very, very bad news, of course, as some of the strongest winds are located in this corridor. And you can see that the eye is pretty likely to actually come on shore of Jamaica as well at this point. We still see very, very tall clouds up there, indicated by the blacks, whites, and even pinks there, which is going to be extremely tall clouds, very intense bands of precipitation, and very strong wind, as this still is a major hurricane at this point. We do see that for the eastern, or the western coast, better yet, of Haiti, there is some very large bands hitting from this storm as well still, so this is just an impactful storm for that kind of Caribbean area right now. As we look at the cone forecast for this one, unfortunately, they do expect it to remain at major hurricane status all the way until tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. on Thursday. That's going to be July 4th here, before striking the Yucatan Peninsula around Friday morning as a hurricane. As of now, it's not expected to remain as a major hurricane by that point, but likely a category 1 or 2 as it strikes Mexico in the Yucatan Peninsula. Then it moves back into the southern Gulf here, as you can see. And what we end up seeing is it regains that hurricane status by about 8 a.m. on Sunday, after weakening down to a tropical storm, before weakening again down to a tropical storm as it strikes either very far northern Mexico or very far southern Texas there around 8 a.m. on Monday. So a lot developing here in the story for Hurricane Beryl. Definitely something that we're going to be watching moving forward a lot. We've talked about it for multiple days now. Let's just dive into the upcoming pattern, because I know a lot of you in the lower 48 are curious about this and really want to see the upcoming pattern, as we haven't talked about it in about a week now. So we're going to dive through. Here is tomorrow afternoon from the time I am making this video, which will be the 4th of July. We can see that there is plenty of storms happening around the nation, unfortunately, especially here in the northern plains, upper Midwest, central plains, lower Midwest, deeper south, Ohio Valley, some of the mid-Atlantic, and some of the Northeast here as well. So for a lot of your central and eastern areas, it unfortunately looks like it's going to be hit or miss with the storms, the showers. It's going to be something to definitely watch here. We do see Hurricane Beryl there at the bottom of your screen. Let's take a look at Friday here on July 5th, and what we end up seeing is a low develops over Michigan. We do continue to see precipitation, especially to the south and east of that low pressure system. So this will be for the East Coast and the Gulf Coast primarily. It's going to be Friday, July 5th, like I mentioned. Around this low and back to the west of it. So for the northern Rockies, the northern plains, and the upper Midwest here, we do continue to see some thunderstorms and showers prevailing. So it's overall a stormy end to the week here, is kind of the look. Saturday, we do quiet down a little bit. We do see that this system moves up into the eastern regions of Canada, just to the north of New England. And what we see is some showers and thunderstorms underneath this low, primarily for the Ohio Valley, Mid-Atlantic, and Northeast here. There is some straggling thunderstorms and showers around for multiple areas here, like the northern plains and upper Midwest, southern plains, and then even for the southeast here. We do see Beryl as well in the southern Gulf as a weaker low pressure system. Let's just keep trucking along. Let's move forward towards Sunday on July 7th here. We do see that this low does intensify Beryl just before arriving at the northern coast of Mexico here. We do see thunderstorms prevailing for the northern plains down through the central plains and for the southeast here. So we see a lot of thunderstorm activity here, and for the southeast as well. Obviously, as we're in July, this is the peak thunderstorm season for a lot of folks, and we do expect to see activity like this prevailing, of course. Monday on July 8th, we see that things are picking back up again, especially throughout your upper Midwest and northern plains, central and lower plains there, and then through the southeast once again. but it's even more intense by that point. Here is by July 9th, and what we're seeing is that this is arriving for the East Coast. Really, if you take it from the plains eastward, there's not really a safe area to be away from the showers and thunderstorms, so everybody has a chance of rain on Tuesday the 9th here, again, east of the plains. Let's take a look at Wednesday here on the 10th of July, and what we're seeing is thunderstorm activity basically from the southern plains, the Great Lakes, towards the East Coast as well for the midweek point of next week. For Thursday here on July 11th, what we're seeing is this kind of like central plains through the southern plains there, all the way up to the northeast. We are seeing another day of chances of thunderstorms and showers. So I can't iterate this enough. This is just going to be a daily occurrence almost here as the activity is again surged. We see that the peak of it for Friday, July 12th is going to be for your southern plains and deeper south, as well as kind of the Carolinas northward up to New England, where this looks like a really decent shot of thunderstorms for the beginning of next weekend. I do want to talk about the total precipitation. It's very staggering how we have nothing for the West, and I don't mean, almost nothing. There is literally no precipitation forecasted here for the western states or the western provinces of Canada there, or the westernmost. I guess it's British Columbia alone there. We do see that once you take the plains eastward, we do see above average precipitation all the way to the East Coast. So a lot more activity as you reach the central states and then the eastern states here. We're in the reds. We're looking at 2 to 5 inches of precipitation, which is surely a lot for a 10-day period. Let's take a look at your European AI model. I want to talk about two things. First off, barrel on this model, it does hit the Yucatan Peninsula, but it's going to take a northern curve, as you'll see, and hit Texas, which is interesting. So let's watch that happen. That would be around Sunday night into Monday morning. And we do see it hits the Texas coast as a pretty intense storm, and then moves up into the deeper south and even up into the mid-Atlantic and northeast for the midweek point next week. So definitely a bold prediction here. We saw that the normal European model showed a Mexico impact. This AI one is really curving us northward and hitting Texas. This is a big opportunity for this model to set itself apart and be correct on something, because if it gets this wrong, this would be a big time fail for that model. As we work our way beyond hours 240, I want to see what the long range pattern looks like. And overall, I mean, we're just continuously, I just kind of skipped past the whole thing, but we see continuous activity here across this south central, southeastern, and then northeastern corridor. So that doesn't look to end anytime soon. Even by July 18th, this model is still calling for this activity to really just prosper here. As we take a look at the temperature pattern, you're going to notice it looks a little bit colder, I would say, for the upcoming pattern. We see warmth prevailing along the East Coast here for the 5th, 6th, 7th here. We start to see some colder air introducing itself, especially around the 10th time frame, so the mid to late point of next week. We see some colder air in here with overall warmth for the West really staying true out there. I mean, and then as we work our way into the long range pattern around the 15th, we finally get some warmth here for the north central and northeastern states, with some cooler air across the deeper south central and southeastern states there, as well as the west a little bit. We're seeing some neutral temperatures there. But another cool down moves in, especially as we are approaching the 20th. This is by the 18th. We get a little bit of a late season Arctic blast, if you will. Our definition here at the channel of an Arctic blast is an Arctic air mass, so an air mass moving from the Arctic into the United States. It's blasting down. It doesn't have to be freezing, it doesn't have to be snowing, but this is an Arctic blast. Basically, when you take the two words Arctic blast, you get an Arctic air mass blasting down, so it's quite obvious. Let's look at the Storm Prediction Center outlook here for day one, which is today on Wednesday, July 3rd. In the lighter greens, we do have a general thunderstorm risk where we expect general thunderstorms, but keep in mind anything is possible, so heed every watch, warning, and advisory. In the darker greens here across a lot of your plains in Ohio Valley here, we do see a level 1 marginal risk for severe weather, and that's where we expect isolated severe weather to occur. And then your two yellow areas there across the plains in Ohio Valley as well is where we have a level 2 slight risk at severe weather, where things get a little bit more scattered about, a little bit more widespread than the darker green. Let's move towards day 2, which will be for the 4th of July, by the way, on Thursday. We have in the lighter greens general thunderstorm risk, but again, anything is possible, so please, please, please heed every watch, warning, and advisory there. In the darker greens, we do have a level 1 marginal risk where we expect isolated severe weather to occur, and then the yellow area here across Kansas, Missouri, and Oklahoma, as well as a little bit of Arkansas and Illinois there. That is where we expect scattered about severe weather to occur in that level 2 slight risk. For day 3, we have a very, very large general thunderstorm risk area there in the lighter green. Again, this time of year, you can expect a lot of these big time risk areas because it's very hard to rule out thunderstorms when we have such high temperatures and humidity. They just seem to spark up. And you know, it's really hard to say that there's no chance of thunderstorms this time of year for much of anywhere, unless you're out west where things do get drier this time of year. But east of the Rockies, I mean, there's usually a chance of thunderstorms for a majority of the days during the summer, so expect to see a lot more of this. We do have a marginal risk here for Kentucky, Ohio, and West Virginia there for, again, Friday on July 5th. So expect some isolated severe weather to be possible in there. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. Be sure to subscribe as we do upload every single day. You can even hit the bell icon for daily notifications when we upload so you never miss one. Be sure to like the video if you did enjoy it. Leave a comment down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.